Wow. So we're doing this freestyle, no process, ride. It's time, space. Many things to talk about. Things that make you think about, process, have a different perspective on things that touch me, like to touch on. I might get lost in thoughts. What we do is comes with the turf. Go. Thanks, job. You're it's important that we break through the taboos. Of these magical herbs and plants and medicines, so we can accelerate the healing. I've gone through this motion so many times that not something that still agrees with me, some breaking these walls, something that I've gotten used to. So that's what I'm bringing forth. Things that need to be shared with. Not many are sharing. We're going to be talking to some key people that are already sharing this information, and we're going to be weaving it with ancient traditions, because we're all natives. We're all natives in this planet, all of us. We all come from native lineages, not just Native Americans, but all of us have some type of connection to our ancestors that live the land like the Native Americans lived in this country that we occupied and took over from them with massacres and horrible events, as it's been done all over the world, and it's still being done many places. But now we have all these technologies so we can share this information, understand and connect the dots, and use our hive mind to connect and gather all our information that we need, because we're all one big brain, one big being. Where it's this oneness that we're part of. And the more we connect with each other, the more we share information, the more perspectives we're going to be able to gain and understand this multi-layered jewel, holographic expression of life that we're experiencing to its fullest. Abraham key characters of the Old Testament and loved and respected by Muslims, Jews, Christians, and many other traditions. Is a representation archetypal of kindness in the Kabbalistic tradition. He was the example of to be kind, where he would invite people and just run out and have people come over and share an experience and elevate their consciousness and reach levels that would make people connect with oneness, and is still remembered today. It's present still with us, and his energy, this energy that's one of the many emanations come from the source of it all, is super powerful. Kindness, loving kindness in a world where there's shootings in schools close to where I live, and where there's countries that are still being overthrown, and when there's presidents that are being impeached, and when there's so many things happening at a global level that are just wow. It's important to find its roots, so better understand the meaning of these branches. Abraham was super kind and went through so many trials and lived in a world that was crazy as is today. It was just crazy back in those days. To have to sacrifice your kid for us might seem, well, but today there's so many people still doing it. Back in those days, it was normal. One of many sacrifice a couple of kids, things will get hopefully better. Because in those times, people could presence energies. It was much more open, as it's becoming now, to these energies. There's a story that when Abraham was young, he was always loving everything. He would connect, and it was a place where they had many gods, and he would love them all. He would connect with all. His father was super involved in all these different cults and way of thinking and religions and teams and whatever part of that expression is, but he would do it with a full heart regardless. While he was gaining more and more understanding, and he would at one point like really say, oh my God, thank you, son, that you're my creator, you make me, you give me everything, thank you for everything. He would just worship the sun all the way to the sun. But at night the sun would go down and it would be all dark. Abraham was like, where's my creator? And the moon would appear and say, thank you, moon, you are my light, you are my creator, I love you, thank you. And then after a few hours, the moon too was gone. And then the stars, and the fire, and everything. Because he could, but just kept going and 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 going until he realized that it was all a curtain, it was all a screen, it was all a projection to reach a higher source. That source of it all, that encompasses all, is everything. It goes beyond any type of description that we could use with our logic here or our limited words. And he lived in a very troubled times, many wars. Literally, this guy, after having a kid with his second wife, cut his penis at 99 years of age and was in full hallucinatory mode for days. And he received these beings, these angels that came to bring him messages. And the dude's feeding them. So like at this level we're talking about of altered consciousness. He was interacting with multidimensional beings that were bringing him very specific knowledge. And so he was like, come in, enjoy, connect. And through this, it showed that the dude was on point. Like, and so everybody would kill the kids. Abraham said no. He was able to, again, there was a voice that would tell people that that was something in the heads of them, that that's something that was needed to be done. But he was able to go deeper to that, and go deeper within himself, and hear a higher voice, or more than a voice, like a speaking silence that told him, no, you don't need to kill your kid for me. You don't need to sacrifice that. Now, he was the one that stopped this process and left an imprint in reality so that we could be aware that there is really no need to follow these voices that tell us that we need to do this shitty shit at all. So, in a time when there's many confusing voices coming at us from every direction, we really have to go deeper within ourselves and listen to our inner voice. There's an inner voice that's guiding everything on point and doesn't want any killing, doesn't want any predatory. We really are living in a paradise. We're shitting everywhere. It's ridiculous. So there's a way to grab these messages, which also one can get very literal, and it's dangerous because stories have to be connected to the deepest energetic vibratory levels so we can understand the dynamics of what's happening and not get caught up on just on the coverings, on the surface. The surface is still needed. It's what protects the fruit. But we need to go deep inside the juicy, tasty, aromatic fruit and that's full of life and vibrant with wisdom, because everything's created with wisdom, and tap into that. If we get caught up in just the story, we lose all the magic. And the whole point of these teachings was that it should be interpreted by each one of us, not by 1 or 2 or 10 or 50 that are top and then the rest. Those help lead the way on how it needs to be done so that everybody else can now go inside and experience for themselves. This is a critical point of this tradition, and what Abraham was talking with everybody and sharing. It's a way for yourself to tap into yourself and connect to the oneness and the source of it all. And it's a loving process. It's like it's a beautiful, ecstatic, sexual experience. And we weren't able to prohibit sex, but we were able to make it either dirty or holy, and we took away its power, its magic. But we did prohibit the plants and tools that help us reach these levels that we can connect with that part of ourselves. Oh, without doubts. And so that's what Abraham was against. He was all about making the waters flow. That energy wants to flow and really reach everywhere. And it had to go underground, and it had to be excavated, because first it's unstoppable. It will get to where it needs to go. But there's different ways. There's more like a rocky or a shaky path, or there's a flowing, beautiful way. We tend to choose the rocky path, but it's a personal choice that we're all collectively making. It's not something that is set. We're not punished here in the crazy house. The crazy house here is a rehab for the soul, so we can realize that we are in paradise, that it is all good, that it is all amazing. But yet we're so overwhelmed with the amazingness. It's just so much, and we haven't learned how to really tap into it, that we push it out completely. We have pushed it out completely. All the magic, it's completely outside of our reality sphere right now, outside of our perception, outside of our conscious mind. And it wasn't always like this, and it won't be always like this. Our goal is to integrate conscious, subconscious now, and balance. And we have tools to do this. They'll tell you faith and prayers and this and that. And yes, all this works amazingly. And we need to have the faith that we get the right tools to use it in the right moment, in the right context, with the right intention, for the right purposes. And that's wisdom. That's how everything manifests. And if people tell you otherwise, sometimes it's because they probably experienced these states themselves, use these tools, and are keeping it quiet so that they can sell you books or stories or lectures, classes, businesses, whatever it is, movies. It's still fire, or like water. You can drown. People can drink too much water and die. Fire can burn everything. But we don't prohibit those things. We use them daily for the right purposes, mostly. Even those elements need to be better balanced in our experience of reality. But overall, we've learned to use fire to cook our foods, to warm our homes, to light our places, and much greater uses. Yet, most of these magical plants and tools and gifts, no. It's fine, yeah, maybe they're gonna legalize it somewhere, but don't talk in this table, or don't tell him, or don't do it in front of this, or don't. That started again since Spain, expulsion of the Jews, and where the magical era ended. But in those times, like in Abraham times, Muslim, Jews, Christians were living together in an amazing time, celebrating creation, discovering so many new things, just bringing out rivers of information and knowledge and wisdom that were coming out in medicine, math, discoveries across the board in art, poetry. And we've seen sparks of that, in particular 50 years from now, back in the summer of '69. That was the ending of that. Maybe the last big spark that happened of that energy here in reality, and in particular in this country, that spread somewhat worldwide. So it's important, the cannabis in particular, no? Marijuana, that it's been super controversial. And the crazy part is that it went from, no, it's illegal, it kills you, it's toxic, crazy movies about it, and bad propaganda, to, no, not just gives you a good time or helps you sleep or make you a little happy or make you a little more relaxed, but it actually has so many healing properties that it's just ridiculous that it's been a plant with a war against it, with billions of dollars and armies against plants and farmers. Anti-tumor, anti-cancerous, anti-inflammatory, anti-seizures, so many other more things that I could just spend, and we will go deep into these areas as well, but so much healing power that we've discarded for the sake of pharmaceutical business. And now that we see this change and this wave, and that we publicly speak about all these things, it's incredible. It's incredible. And Abraham's times in our tradition says that he was one of the ones that brought cannabis and shared it with his sons and brought this tradition down. And he had other sons that he sent out to the east, which are the sons of Brahmins and many other that are connected, how we're all connected. So not just Muslims, Christians, Jews, but also all these other rich cultures from the east are also connected through him as well. And the cannabis has been used in China for thousands of years, in India, spiritually, to connect, in rituals, in healing, in food. It was it was a food staple. It wasn't, we removed it completely. And it helps people connect to that more loving side of themselves, more relaxed, more connected. It's an enhancer. And yes, not everybody works the same. It can hurt some people. And it can bring out things that are inside, good and not so good. But it's another tool, super important tool. And the fact that so many people are still putting in categories next to alcohol or cigarettes or substances like this, or not even in those categories, it's just ridiculous right now. So it's time to open up across the board and understand that these teachings are all intertwined, and these tools have their place and need to be respected. And we can't forget that the fear is that we're just going to get super focused on one thing, on one plant, on one power, that we're going to love that so much that we're going to lose track of the source that created that plant or that power, or us to make that, or the earth, or the air, the fire, the water that's all used to mix up and make all these different things that exist. But like Abraham, by reaching the states and trying to go deeper, and with support, he had support. When he finished the words, he went to see Melchizedek, which was the priest back in those times of the mystical tradition. And he was a powerful shamanic figure. And so there is this connection of people learning all this and experiencing all this by themselves, but also finding this other people have had these experiences for longer and have been studying with people that also had these experiences all their lives, and before them had been trained by somebody that had these experiences for all their lives and integrated, and they were told by somebody before, and so forth. So it's a whole different experience when you come from a place like of support and knowledge and wisdom, and where not everything is against and bad. just a placebo across all the board, this hurts. That's after many years of doing sustainability and many other key areas to try to really find a way to find balance in this crazy house. I've been focusing on mental health and psychedelics because they provide instant relief, and I was going to share many stories with people that I personally know that have had miraculous experiences and just drastic changes from very bad situations to back to good, where before those situations you would just be by the traditional system. So many stories, so many stops, but we're always going, we're always flowing, and that's what we're going to be doing. In the Shalom XPress. Great time to be alive. Revolutionary, disruptive. Many cool shit happening. Many not so cool shit happening. But that's why it's important to, like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem in the same consciousness that you created. We need an open mind, an elevated consciousness, and any tool that can help us do this should be embraced, and we need support and integration in these areas across the board. It's not going to be stopped. Everybody needs to open up. The sooner, the better, and in a space that provides setting and the positive energy that we need to accelerated healing, more open minds, hyper creativity, energy that we all have inside, and we all stop it with the shit that we eat, with the shit that we think and see and do, and continuously engage with. So these tools combined with purpose, intent, connection to the root, and right setting, we're gonna make everything so much better, so much faster. We have tests on army people completely being disengaged by one dose of LSD, where they don't want to have anything to do with battle anymore. We know that this can be used also for bad. We know that all World War II was fueled with methamphetamines, and consciousness. And at those times was when ecstasy was also discovered and brought to the US as spoils of war. There's a lot of things that we're seeing connected now that have to do with consciousness. In a conscious war, everything else is propaganda. All the bombs they throw, it's just propaganda. Everything's about consciousness. And so the more we collectively, individually upgrade our consciousness, vibration, the more accelerated the fractal would look as it should. That's important at these times now. These energies after this last full moon, and all the things that are happening. We go above all that. We keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and we're bringing it down with meaning and sharing and getting back together, no matter which tribe you come from. All of them are coming back in peace. Next stop.